So there's been a lot of talk lately about Crunchyroll and Funimation, especially when every single time I do a video about this, there's always somebody, or at least a few people, Actually, you know what? A lot of people who actually think a certain thing about Funimation being in control of Crunchyroll is true, and but it's not. So we're gonna go over that. We're gonna go over the fact that Crunchyroll just lost its CEO because, yeah, he left. Anyway, we're gonna go over what all this stuff means, all the details right now on the Konjic channel.
Give me some sensu beans, yeah, I need to regenerate. I'm about to go off like I'm the Avatar state, and I can say.
Alright guys, so there's this guy named Colin Decker. He was the CEO of Crunchyroll, and now he's not, because guess what? He quit. Well, more formally, he resigned. So if we're gonna be formal and business savvy, we'll say he resigned, which is exactly the same as he left, he quit, That means the exact same thing. But basically, that guy actually was only the CEO for just a little bit. He was appointed the CEO right when Sony bought Crunchyroll. Speaking of bought, now, a lot of people when it comes to Crunchyroll and Funimation, we know that Crunchyroll is the head app now. Crunchyroll is what's being promoted. They even say, if in a prior video I showed this, when it came to the announcement of frequently asked questions that Crunchyroll put out, they said like, okay, so what if I have Crunchyroll and Funimation? What do I do with Funimation? They literally say, go ahead and end your subscription to Funimation. They literally say that Funimation is getting 0 new shows. 0. After this season of anime that's happening, they're going to get 0 new shows. So like, sure, they'll get new seasons to shows they already have, but when it comes to new series, yeah, no, that's just going to Crunchyroll. So Crunchyroll is the main app. But here's where a lot of people say, yeah, but you see, it's just Funimation, it's not Crunchyroll. Like, people think this, and I guess I can understand this confusion with some headlines and stuff and some confusing wording, because a lot of people don't actually understand certain wording and all that. But a lot of people say Funimation bought Crunchyroll. So they say it is Funimation, like Funimation bought Crunchyroll, they just changed their own name to Crunchyroll. So it's really Funimation, but they changed their names to Crunchyroll. Funimation bought Crunchyroll. That's what people are saying. I want to let you guys know that's not true. Funimation, in the entirety of the time that it has existed, has never purchased Crunchyroll. But what I read in this article, wrong. It's wrong. Funimation never purchased Crunchyroll. You want to know what company purchased Crunchyroll? Sony. The company that purchased Funimation a few years ago decided to purchase the other one, Crunchyroll, recently. So now it owns both. And then what it decided to do right when it purchased, it said, well, we don't want 2 different companies, so we're gonna have Funimation for now in charge of Crunchyroll. That's why you see certain articles say Funimation acquired Crunchyroll. They don't say purchased. If you see something that says purchased, it's wrong. Funimation never purchased Crunchyroll. Sony did. So it's like Funimation was the person, or shall I say company, that Sony already knew. They already knew it because they owned it for several years prior to this. So they were like, okay, you're just in charge for now. Then it was stated that Crunchyroll would actually be the leading app. It takes time for a company to figure out what they're gonna do. So just because they put Funimation in charge at one point doesn't mean they're always going to be in charge. So then what happened is Crunchyroll is actually in charge. It's Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll is the leading service. Crunchyroll is the leading app. Okay? But now it's actually all one company. So Crunchyroll and Funimation are all one company. Funimation is run by Crunchyroll. It's not the other way around. It's not like Funimation is leading from the shadows, but they're just using the Crunchyroll name because people like it more. That's not what happened. Like, this is a case of when speculation becomes like fact in a person's head, even when it's not fact. It's like with the Black Clover community, how that show ended. The anime show ended, not the series, the show. It was announced that it ended, but a lot of people speculated, well, it's really on break because of how close it is to the manga. That was speculated so much that it became fact in people's heads, even though it's not actually fact because it was never announced. The only thing that was stated was that it ended. It was never announced that it was on break due to the closeness to the manga. That was never said. That's just the leading speculation as to why. So this was the leading speculation as to why Funimation is doing this. So people speculated Funimation's actually in control. They just like the Crunchyroll name better. No, Crunchyroll is in control. Crunchyroll now basically has acquired Funimation and all of its assets. That company has grown. Now, with the CEO of Crunchyroll gone, who's put in place as the CEO? Well, this new CEO is Crunchyroll COO, who also was just put in place. He was formerly the operating chief at Funimation prior to this whole thing. So yes, there are people that were higher ups at Funimation that now work at Crunchyroll. Obviously, because now they're one company. They are one company. So Sony's gonna put people they trust. So just because they took a person who was the operating chief and now promoted him to CEO, which now in fact, guess what? The CEO of Funimation is lower than this guy who used to be lower than him. So now he is actually the CEO of Crunchyroll. Does this sound confusing? Just understand. Okay, Crunchyroll is in charge. They're in charge. Are there higher ups that work there now? Yes, because it's all one company. Get it? So what does this mean that the CEO of Sony's Crunchyroll has now left? Well, nothing really. I mean, we don't know why he left, but, and it's not to say, oh, it's because, you know, they wanted to put somebody from Funimation in charge of Crunchyroll. Well, no, because that guy was also from Funimation. So in other words, it's all one company. Funimation is not in charge. Crunchyroll is in charge. Funimation never purchased Crunchyroll. Sony did. Sony owns both of them and they can do whatever they want with it. That's basically the moral of the story. Funimation's decisions don't really matter. It's Sony's decisions. And Sony decided to do all this stuff. Alright, get it? Okay, I hope that cleared that stuff up for you. A little news about the CEO and all that stuff. If you guys have any questions, well, shoot me a comment right down there. I'll see if I could get to you. I'll see if anybody else could get to you. You know, there's a lot of interesting things. But I hope I cleared some stuff up for you. My name's Konjik. I love you, and I'll talk to you in the next video.
And I can say that I'm great, yeah, I can say that I'm perfect. I ain't the one that was out here saving lives, I was purchased. Now we about to take you out if you try to act toxic. I'ma send you straight up to my main man, Konjik.